You're lying in bed, eyes closed, doing absolutely nothing, except you've just delivered a TED Talk, ended a friendship, gotten revenge in slow motion, and fallen in love with a stranger from a coffee shop. Your body is still, your brain is filming a blockbuster, and the wildest part? It's not malfunctioning. It's doing exactly what it was built to do. And by the end of this video, you'll never look at your 2 a.m. imagination the same way again. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. The scenarios you invent before sleep aren't just overthinking. They're a window into how your brain actually works and what it's secretly trying to finish. So let's count down the bizarre psychology of people who direct imaginary films at midnight. Spoiler, number 1 will make you side-eye your own brain. Number 7, the theater opens when the lights go off. Notice something. You don't do this in line at the grocery store. You do it the second your head hits the pillow. That's not a coincidence. That's your brain switching networks. When you stop focusing on the outside world, your brain activates something neuroscientists call the default mode network, a system mapped by researcher Marcus Reichel in 2001. It's the brain's screensaver, except your screensaver doesn't show floating bubbles. It shows you confronting your ex with the perfect comeback you should have said in 2019. The DMN lights up during self-reflection, memory, and imagining the future. So when the room goes dark, the projector turns on. You didn't choose the movie. The architecture of your brain did. Number 6. You're not daydreaming. You're rehearsing. Here's the plot twist nobody tells you. Most of these fake scenarios aren't random fluff. They're simulations. Psychologists call this the brain's what-if engine. Your mind builds little flight simulators, practicing arguments, breakups, job interviews, even disasters, so that if they ever happen, you've already run the drill. Research on mental simulation suggests imagining an event activates many of the same neural regions as actually living it. So when you lie there rehearsing how you'd react if your crush suddenly confessed their love at a bus stop in the rain, your brain genuinely thinks it's doing homework. Unpaid, dramatic, slightly embarrassing homework, but homework. And here's the kicker. This is the same mechanism elite athletes pay coaches thousands to teach them. It's called motor imagery, mentally rehearsing a movement to improve real performance. You're doing it for free, accidentally, about your ex. Your brain isn't wasting time. It's running the exact training pros use to win. You're just aiming it at drama instead of the Olympics. Number 5, the Zeigarnik Effect. Your brain hates cliffhangers. Ever wonder why the scenarios are so often about unfinished things? The argument you didn't win, the text you didn't send, the version of you that finally made it. Meet the Zeigarnik Effect, named after psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik, who in the 1920s noticed that waiters remembered unpaid orders perfectly, then forgot them instantly once paid. The lesson? Your brain clings to anything unfinished like a toddler clinging to a balloon. So at night, with no distractions left, your mind drags out every open loop and demands closure. It can't get real closure, so it manufactures fake closure. It writes the ending you wish existed. That's not weakness. That's a brain trying to clean its tabs before shutting down. This is also why cliffhangers in TV shows are torture, and why you binge just one more episode. Same circuitry. Your brain treats an unresolved life moment exactly like a paused episode it's dying to finish. The cruel joke? Real life rarely gives you a finale, so your mind quietly becomes the screenwriter, editing the same scene on loop until it gets an ending it can finally close. Number 4. The dopamine loop you don't talk about. Let's talk about why this feels weirdly good, why you sometimes choose the fantasy over sleep on purpose. When you imagine a victory, applause, love, revenge served ice cold, your brain releases small hits of dopamine, the same chemical involved in anticipation and reward. You're not getting the real thing, you're getting the trailer, and the brain happily pays for trailers. This is also why the scenarios escalate. One night, you're just imagining a nice conversation. 3 nights later, you're accepting an award, married, fluent in 3 languages, and somehow also a billionaire. The reward system wants bigger hits. Your imagination is just feeding the machine. But there's a hidden cost nobody warns you about. Dopamine fires on anticipation, not achievement. So when the fantasy delivers the win for free, your brain can lose the urgency to chase the real thing. That's the trap. Imagining the dream too vividly can quietly drain the motivation to build it. The same loop that comforts you at 2 a.m. can, unchecked, become the reason the dream stays a trailer forever. Number 3, when the hobby becomes a habit, maladaptive daydreaming. Now, here's where it gets serious and genuinely fascinating. For most people, this is harmless mental entertainment, but for some, it's a recognized condition. In 2002, psychologist Eli Sommer coined the term maladaptive daydreaming, vivid, immersive, story-like fantasies so absorbing they interfere with real life. People with it can spend hours pacing, listening to music, lost in elaborate internal worlds with recurring characters and plot lines. Studies by Sommer and colleagues found it's often linked to a need to escape and frequently co-occurs with anxiety, OCD traits, and a history of stress. The key difference isn't whether you imagine, it's whether you can stop and whether it's stealing your real life. So if your bedtime movie is a fun little ritual, totally normal. If it's eating 3 hours and you're choosing it over sleeping, eating, or living, that's the part worth paying attention to. Number 2, the intrusive scenario nobody admits to. Time for the awkward one. Sometimes the scenario isn't a romance or a victory. Sometimes it's dark, embarrassing, disturbing. Your brain suddenly auditions you for a horror film you never wanted to star in. These are intrusive thoughts, and here's the relief. Research consistently shows they're nearly universal. A landmark international study led by Adam Radomski in 2014 found that around 94% of people across cultures reported experiencing intrusive thoughts. The catch is a weird thought is not a wish. It's not a prediction. It's mental static, your brain testing scenarios precisely because they alarm you. The more you fight it, the louder it gets, which brings us to the final, strangest truth. Number 1, the scenarios you replay the most aren't random. Pattern researchers in psychology note that recurring fantasies tend to cluster around unmet needs. Imagined arguments often signal a need to feel respected. Heroic rescues, a need to feel significant. Romantic fantasies with a specific person, a need to feel chosen. Revenge scenarios, usually a wound that never got an apology. Your nightly screenplays are basically your subconscious leaving sticky notes about what's missing in your real life. The brain doesn't waste energy on stories you don't care about. So the next time you catch yourself directing a midnight blockbuster, don't cringe. Ask the better question. What is the scene trying to tell me? Because the person who imagines fake scenarios before sleep isn't broken, weird, or too much. They're running one of the most sophisticated simulation systems on Earth. A brain that rehearses, repairs, rewards, and reveals, all while you think you're just lying there doing nothing. So tonight, when the lights go off and the theater opens, pay attention to what's playing. You might be more interesting than you give yourself credit for.